New Washington Post and ABC News polls indicate that Trump is now leading in two important states, Florida and Arizona. Trump enjoys support from 51% of likely voters in Florida compared to 47% who support Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden. Trump leads Biden 49 to 48% in Arizona. So it's not looking good when it comes to Latino voters either. So Biden's still leading with Latino voters in Florida, but when you compare his lead to Hillary Clinton's lead in 2016, doesn't look so good. So in Florida, the Latino vote splits 52% for Biden and 39% for Trump among registered voters, an advantage that doesn't reach statistical significance because of a small sample size. Biden has struggled among some Latino voters, and his campaign has put renewed emphasis on reaching them. So in 2016, for instance, Hillary Clinton carried Florida's Latino vote 62% to 35%.
Yeah.
So Biden's strategy of just kind of staying on the down low is not working. He needs to get out there.
That's fair now in hindsight, but who could have predicted that? Who could have predicted that virtually every aspect of his campaign is like the 17th best idea that could have been developed? Yeah. That's an insane. How much work has Trump done to tell this community he despises them? And Biden has a little lead, kind of. Like
it's amazing. I know, but Florida's different. Okay, so
I know, that's true.
You know,
that's true.
Cuban voters are typically right wing. Okay, so
but there's many
Florida
different groups.
doesn't just consist. Yeah. So like Latinos, it's not like a monolithic group, and Florida is a special case. But I still agree with you. I mean, there are plenty of Cuban right wingers who were absolutely disgusted with Trump's rhetoric on immigration. Many of them are immigrants themselves. I mean, of course, they were able to immigrate to the United States under much better and easier circumstances because they were basically given a free pass because of the Cuban Revolution. But nonetheless, what we're seeing with Biden's slide among Latino voters is pretty terrifying. It really is. And it's not just Florida, as I mentioned, it's also Arizona, where earlier Biden had a pretty significant lead.
Yeah. On Cuba, you sort of get how maybe in that particular case, Trump has tried to show his devotion, like in 2008 when he tried to register his trademark in Cuba to build hotels there. Oh wait, that doesn't seem like that's what they would want. But anyway, he did it because he's a businessman. He doesn't care about anybody. He cares about making money. That's it. But I'm sure this news will really sway a lot of people. Anyway, look, I'm gonna respond to a poll of Trump up by 4 in Florida, basically the same way I had previously seen a poll of Biden up by around 4 in Florida. If we expect that the way Biden wins is by winning Florida, it is going to be a very bad election day. We cannot need Florida. It would be great if he could get it, although it's looking pretty bad now. But that cannot be the strategy going forward. It certainly doesn't seem like it's Biden's strategy based on his actions. Now, Arizona, that might be a different case, and it is closer, and Biden has certainly been up in other polls, but he should be doing significantly better. Now, I see in the document that Brett is asking us whether we think the Cindy McCain endorsement of Biden will have an effect in Arizona. I replied in that.
Definitely. I mean, come on. Everyone's been waiting to see what Cindy McCain thinks. And now that Republican Cindy McCain has endorsed Joe Biden, well, first of all, it's really gonna fire up Democratic voters. Like Democratic voters are gonna be like, yes, John McCain's wife has endorsed Biden. You know what? Stay home, Biden. You don't need to do anything else.
You're totally
Cindy
right.
McCain, that's all we care. And by the way, no one cares. I don't care. Like no one cares. Anyway, go ahead.
But you say that, but I was just informed because I didn't know that John McCain was Arizona's senator, Brett tells me. Yes, I know, Brett, thank you. And I understand there's a bit of an asymmetry in you having to type to me, and I get to
this is the weirdest experience of my life.
It really is.
I know John McCain was the senator, and I'm not saying that it won't.
Didn't sound like it, John. Didn't sound like it.
Okay, maybe it's worth a point, and maybe a point is enough. I'm not gonna say that it's nothing. I'm not surprised that she endorsed him. I wonder if if John McCain was still alive, whether he would endorse Joe Biden. There's at least a chance, but I don't know. These are sorts of things that if in the background they want to continue to operate and possibly have a small effect, that's fine. But this is the sort of thing that's not under Joe Biden's control. Maybe he can make an ad, I guess. There's other things he could be doing with his time, his money, his attention, what passes for passion, and all of that.
Yeah. Meat and potatoes, okay? Meat and potatoes. Americans want meat and potatoes. Like, talk about the issues that matter. You have this like giant blob of a target-rich environment, okay? That's Donald Trump. This polling indicates that people are supportive of how he's handled the economy. Not because he's actually handled the economy well, because he keeps bragging about how well he's handled the economy. You don't even have to provide evidence. You don't even have to do the work. All you have to do is incessantly repeat how great you are on the economy. And apparently voters just buy it, even as they're experiencing an insane amount of poverty in the richest country in the world, okay? Joe Biden can't even go out there and talk about the damn meat and potatoes that voters want to hear about, want to know about. I don't know what he's doing. Laying low is not working. I mean, it's been weeks since you can see the trend of Trump closing in on Joe Biden. And where has he been? Why is he not talking about the issues that matter? Look, and please spare me. If you're one of the many who come at us because we're being critical of Biden because he's losing against a moron like Donald Trump, understand that he needs to take this advice. This is advice. This isn't just, going after Biden for the sake of going after Biden. He just, for some reason, refuses to do the work that's necessary to connect with voters and the issues that matter to them. It drives me nuts. So let me go to the economy part of this, John, because this is really the only angle that convinced me that I should cover this story. Because again, most of these people think that Trump has done a great job with the economy. The survey suggests voters especially approve of Trump's handling of the economy. 54% of Floridians approve of his handling in that area compared to 43% who disapprove. Arizonans said they approved of his handling of the economy by an even greater margin, 57 to 42%. Okay, so here's what the reality is, because we all have friends and family. We all know lots of people who are really struggling right now. This economy is a disaster. The unemployment rate, official unemployment rate, is still at 8.4%. That number doesn't even account for individuals who have given up. They've been searching for jobs, they can't find anything, so they've given up. They're out of the job market completely. They're not even counted in that statistic. Let me give you more though. 30 million Americans are still receiving unemployment benefits. Wow. That doesn't sound like such a great economy to me. Many people who have jobs are struggling with pay cuts. As of August, 17 million workers were getting paid less due to the pandemic. That's according to Mark Zandi, chief economist at Moody's Analytics. Some 9.5 million took pay cuts. The remaining 7.5 million are working fewer hours, he said. If you look at specific industries like the restaurant industry, disaster. And it didn't have to be this bad. If Donald Trump actually encouraged people to follow social distancing guidelines, and if we had a decent, robust shutdown where we took the virus seriously, these industries could have been back to work. Things could have been much better than they are now. But the overall restaurant industry is on track to lose $240 billion in sales this year, with nearly 1 in 6 having already closed permanently or long term, according to the National Restaurant Association. And then finally, according to a new report commissioned by the Food Research and Action Center, as of July, the number of people who said they sometimes or often did not have enough to eat has skyrocketed to 29 million, or 11% of adults in the United States. By comparison, 8 million adults, or around 4%, did not have enough to eat in 2018. So the situation was already dire prior to the pandemic. In 38 states and Washington, D.C., more than 1 in 10 adults with children had inadequate amounts of food, with the highest rates of hunger in Mississippi, Louisiana, and Texas. The economy for the vast majority of Americans is a complete and utter disaster, okay? The chair of the Federal Reserve just announced that if Congress doesn't pass another round of stimulus, the economy is gonna crash in ways that we have not seen before. And doesn't matter, Congress isn't doing anything about it, Trump isn't doing anything about it, they don't care. But my point here is the economy is a disaster. And just by repeatedly telling voters that he's done a great job, people are buying it. They're buying it. All Biden has to do is counter that. Yeah. But he won't. And I don't know why.
Well, I mean, he has to counter it. That's true. He has to point out that it's bad, but he also has to give them reason to believe that the future would be better under him. That's where it gets a little bit harder. Maybe we'll see that at the debates. I don't know. I'm going to be pretty drunk. I probably won't be able to follow it. But yeah, in the past, hypothetically, the state of the economy was supposed to be one of the most predictable effects on the likelihood that an incumbent president gets reelected. And look, I guess Trump is down nationally. So it's not to say that there's not some sort of correlation there, but the idea that he's only trailing by a little bit, not just because of the horrible economy of the last few years, and especially the last 6 months or so, clearly, and the fact that it's looking bad for the future, and that's reflected in people's evaluation of what they think the future is going to be like, but that also while failing on the pandemic, there seems to be a growing disconnect between actual performance in office and having any impact whatsoever on his chances. Not to say that there aren't some people being affected, but his base seems to be getting more and more inoculated against having any actual policy expectations that he then can fail on. They don't seem to care what it is that he does. And so no matter how bad he fails, no matter how many people die or lose their jobs, it's like we're still 60-40 on the odds in the election right now. And again, like we were talking about before with the the naked ballots and all of that, like how is a democracy supposed to function with these issues? The regulations are set up for it to not function, and it seems like a growing number of our fellow citizens don't seem to actually care about what the government does. They really do seem to sustain themselves on triggering the libs and like those sorts of things. Like he's entertaining, I guess. Who cares what happens to the economy? And that again is another reason to really fear for the future, especially if Donald Trump gets another 4 years in office.
It's just so many mistakes from 2016 are being repeated, and I don't get it.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.